know it's a break, but it's wonderful to see you all here today. We're very excited. We know it's Friday, halfway through our winter break. We hope you're all having a wonderful break, being able to relax and reconnect with friends. I want to get a quick show of hands. Raise your hand if you're an ISB student, current ISB student. That's wonderful. Raise your hand if you're an ISB alumni. Put your hands up. Wonderful. It's great to see you back on campus. Raise your hand if you're an ISB parent. Nice. Raise your hand if you're a guest from some different school. Wonderful. Let's put our hands together for our guests. And for all of you, my name is Will Ponen. I'm the high school principal. I'm very excited to be here today to welcome for a talk from Professor Lowe, who's come all the way from the United States to talk to us about mathematics education, about thinking, about being a good human being, and how human beings can thrive in an age of AI, which we know we are living in very interesting times. One more hand raising. Raise your hand if you know what the future holds. No? Everybody good? Okay. One of the great sayings that comes from the ISB is the best way to predict the future is to create it. And I will say one of the things that I know is the type of people that create the future are the type of people that come during their winter break to come to school to listen to a talk from a professor from Carnegie Mellon talk about mathematics and education and thinking. And so put your hands together for yourselves, because you're the type of people that are going to change the world and make the world a better place. Put your hands together. He's so passionate, you're going to meet him in a minute. He's so passionate about education and mathematics education. Sometimes he goes into United States public high schools and public middle schools. And when he goes in, he doesn't tell them, hey, he doesn't introduce himself as a mathematics professor from one of the elite universities in the world. He comes in and says, I'm your substitute teacher, and then he proceeds to teach them. He lets his actions do the speaking for him, right? I won't do that. We're going to welcome him today as a guest from an esteemed institution, from Carnegie Mellon University. Please put your hands together for Professor Po-Shen.
Well, hello. It's nice to meet all of you. I'm Mr. Po. Oh, right. Well, actually, I guess I'm Professor Lowe now. First of all, let me ask, is the sound okay? Can you guys hear me all the way in the back?
Yes.
I see someone shaking their head. No. So is the sound okay in the last row? Yes? Yes? Okay, we'll do our best. We'll do our best. Right. Okay, nice to meet you. I am actually here because I got to know one of your students, one of your alumni, Kenny. Where's Kenny? Can you say hi? Yes, this is Kenny. Kenny graduated from ISB, and he's a student at Carnegie Mellon right now. And that's how I got to know of you guys. I got to build this connection. And he's doing that. And he stood up because we have some math classes at Carnegie Mellon where you don't get any credit, you just get food. Well, actually, more than just that. We also have some classes where you don't get any credit and you don't get food either. And he comes to both of them. So I said, this is interesting. I love finding out when there are people who come to school when they don't have to. Maybe you guys will also come to my class where you don't get any credit. Actually, you guys have food, so it's similar. Actually, when I was a middle school student, I got interested in math because there was a middle school math competition in the US called Math Counts. And in that particular competition, one of the parents decided to help coach our team. His main ingredient was pizza. Actually, when I was a middle school student, he said, the best way for you guys to learn is we'll have some hard problems, and you'll think about them together and try to figure them out together. He was supposedly our coach, so he would encourage us along, and he made sure there was pizza. But he didn't come and tell us to do every question, how to do every question. Instead, it was left up to us to go and figure out how to solve the questions. After we solved the questions, he also told us, now you should explain them to each other. And when I was as early as 6th grade, he would say, go to the board, explain on the board for the other people, because if you know how to solve it, but you cannot explain it to anyone else, it's useless. From a very young age, I was taught that what you should do is you should try to figure things out yourself and explain to other people. And I got to make lots of friends in math by working with these 10 students who were doing more math than they had to, fueled by pizza. These students ended up doing really well. That person who was the coach was the dad of one of the students. He did this because he wanted to help his daughter have more opportunities. And so he decided to coach. The school didn't have a teacher who was helping to coach, and so he took care of it. And, well, his daughter is now a math professor. The other people that I was learning with, they all ended up doing different things. One of them became a successful entrepreneur. Now he's a venture capitalist. Another, at least one or two, are doctors. One of them is a lawyer who runs his own practice. We have multiple people who are professors now. But what I want to emphasize is this was all built out of people who were challenging themselves to figure out something. We were not taught how to do those problems. In China, these problems are called Shu, Olympic mathematics, okay? But the way that I learned Olympic mathematics was that you figure it out yourself. Actually, that's how I teach now also. I got to know Kenny because he takes a class of mine where I don't tell them how to do the problems. I actually don't really know how to do the problems myself, I forgot. That's on purpose. Whenever I teach, I just go in and I say, hi, we're going to do this problem now. I forgot how to do it. Can you help figure it out? And then the students, among themselves, start to suggest ideas. And we discuss their ideas. And we solve the problem. In fact, the class is extremely active. Okay? This is quite interesting. Because it's very different from university. Usually in university class, it's very passive. In most university class, the students are sitting there, they're watching, the professor is clicking through the PowerPoint until the PowerPoint is full, then all the cameras come out, then they go back to sleep again until the next. This is actually what happens in university. Okay? But in the class I teach, you don't do that. You think the whole day. I emphasize this because we have to think, what's the right way to learn? And in fact, all these methods that I'm telling you are the right way to learn now that the AI is here. Because anything that you can learn by copying, AI companies are doing already. I travel all over the country, all over the world. I give about 100 I go to about 100 cities a year. I give somewhere between 200 and 300 talks a year, all around. I'll show you a little bit of what this looks like. The computer is here, so I'll just come here to go and click. One moment, please. I'm going to make sure that my screen mirroring is set up right. Because it looks like right now it's using extended screen, but we'll have that fixed in a second. This one mirror. Okay, do you see my screen? Good. Okay. Right, so when I say I go around, this is what I did this year. So January 1, 2024, I was in Beijing. I went to a few schools. I went to Hangzhou, Ningbo, Suzhou, Shanghai, Shenzhen. That's 1 week, by the way. Then I went around some more. To Xiankang, Hong Kong. Got to Washington, D.C. This is the Indian Institute of Technology Global Conference. That's the Alumni Association. Then I actually had to teach. I'm still a professor at Carnegie Mellon. So I had to teach class. Can you guess what days of the week my classes are? Monday, Wednesday, Friday, that's correct, because all the talks are on Tuesdays and Thursdays and weekends. Until spring break. This is 1 week. Okay? Then I went around some more United States. Again, I had to teach Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Until April 27th. April 26th was the last day of the semester. Then I got to do more travel. I went to Australia. And then I took a break. There was a break. The reason there was a break is because I had to run the US National Math Olympiad training camp for 3 weeks from June 1st until June 25th. Then I started going around again. The talks at this point switched from airplane to car. What I mean by that is before that I was flying around. Then I got more efficient because I had 5 weeks. So I just got a car. Started going all around. This is the ground campaign. The car worked until Ho Chi Minh City. Well, The reason that's there is because there was a conference on generative AI, and they wanted me to be a speaker. And by then I already had planned the whole trip. So I left the car parked in Indianapolis, flew over to Ho Chi Minh City, came back, and continued driving to Cincinnati. Then finished the loop. This is right next to Pittsburgh. Then I had to teach again during the semester, so I couldn't go around as much. Okay, November 18th, then I reset because it was too long. This is called Thanksgiving break. Thanksgiving break was about 1 week. Went to Manila, Shanghai, Hong Kong, Changzhou. Then I had 1 more week of class, taught 1 week of class. Then I was done. Then I could go around again. Okay, so I go around a lot. I wanted to show this so you know that the ideas I'm sharing with you are ideas I've gotten by looking. I look at things. I go up close. I find out what's happening. You know, there's a Crow Nation, number 19. That's a Native American reservation. I like to know what exactly is happening, literally everywhere. And when you see all of these things, you get ideas. Let me show you some of them. Let me show you one interesting thing I saw on the side of the freeway, on the side of the highway, 101 highway in San Francisco, last month. Maybe 2 months ago at this point. San Francisco has a major freeway, 101. That 101 freeway usually has a massive traffic jam. Okay? And there's a segment of 101 freeway that goes from San Francisco International Airport to downtown San Francisco. It's very jammed. I was actually going to Berkeley to give a talk to parents at a math contest. So I was driving from the airport to the city center, then you switch and drive to the east for youth. So drive to the east along 80, crossing the Bay Bridge. And as I was driving across the bridge, this is what I saw. And as I was driving into the city, I saw this. So, in the United States, there are now billboards which say, "Stop hiring humans." Now, of course, you know, you have to pay money to put an advertisement up. And this advertisement was by the side of a very, very busy highway. So this advertisement is expensive. That means this company expects to make money. Stop hiring humans. Can anyone guess what they're selling? AI. Yeah, they're selling AI. What's a BDR? Business Development Representative. Kind of like sales. It's also partnerships. It's letting your company grow, get more customers, get more partners. Okay? And they're selling that you can use AI to do the job. Oh, let me go to their website to show you what they do. I was very curious, so I went to go look. Who are these guys? Oh wait, I just realized I'm supposed to wear this thing. Let me put this thing on. Okay, their website. Let me close this piece. Yes, they are offering that you can get AI employees. See? AI employees. They're going to automate the majority of work. This is Lucas. This is Elijah. These are not real people. These are just artificial intelligence. See? They will automate majority of work. Do you see what is majority? 80%. Do you think they're trying to sell this to people? Well, they're selling this to, who are they selling this to? Companies, of course, they're selling it to companies. And what does this mean for people? Is this good? Well, it depends on your point of view. Suppose that you own the company, is this good? Oh, yeah. What if you don't own the company? Ooh, it could be bad. San Francisco also has a very famous, very tall tower. It's called the Salesforce Tower. Some people call it the leaning tower of Salesforce. That's because it's sinking. I don't know if you guys know this, but the foundation is not stable and it's tilting. Anyway, but Salesforce, does anyone know what that company does? It's a world-leading company. CRM, Customer Relation Management, because any company which has customers needs to know who has talked to so-and-so, what might they want to buy next, all of these things. They are maybe the world's leading CRM, at least in the US, they are the leading CRM, and that's why they have a very tall tower. Actually, we are also customers of Salesforce. I'm a social entrepreneur, so I have my own startup, although my company is strange. My goal is social as opposed to purely economic. I'll tell you more about what I do later. But nevertheless, we are a customer of Salesforce. So around November, our Salesforce sales representative sent us an email saying it's time for your renewal, for your subscription for Salesforce. Would you like to have a call with our Salesforce sales representative about your renewal? I said, well, of course. So I said, of course, because I want to get my salesperson on my team on that call so we can learn how you guys do sales. You know, whenever they get you on a call for renewal, what do they want you to do? Buy more. They want to upsell. They want to upsell. Because if you know how customer relationship management things work, if you put all the effort to put all your data in there, you're not going to change. So what they want is they want to sell you upgrade. And I said, I can use this as an opportunity to train my sales team on how other sales teams work. By getting on their sales call, listening to them, and not buying anything. We'll be open-minded. Maybe we'll buy something, but we'll hear your pitch. Okay, we'll hear your pitch. And can you guess what was the upsell of the new features that they wanted to sell us? AI. So the lady who was selling us the upsell, making the pitch, she was explaining to us how there's a new feature. You can use AI to do the sales. I was thinking about the irony. The irony that the person is selling me her replacement. You know what I mean? Like, she was telling me you can use the AI to do your sales, and you are a salesperson. But this is what's happening. This is what's happening in the world. Things are changing fast. The jobs are changing very, very, very fast. If you are the company, it's good. If you are the normal person, I don't know. It's going to be hard. Actually, let me show you why this is changing so fast. It's because the cost of using AI is cheap. Very cheap. Let me show you. Some of you know, if you run a company, you know, because you have looked into this. There's an AI company called OpenAI. I will show you their pricing. This is how much OpenAI costs to use. So this is GPT 4.0. It's quite smart if we measure smart by ability to do homework. Which is a big headache right now because it is able to do all the homework. Which means that we need to think, what exactly are we supposed to teach people if they will have to compete with this? But look, it does all your homework for cheap. Pricing, $2.50 for every 1 million input tokens. Input means you ask a question. Token, every word is a token. Every English word is a token. Every Chinese character is a token. 每个汉字是一个代币. Okay? And now I just said every Chinese character is a token. And every number is a token. Every question mark is a token. Token is like a thing. Okay? And if you ask it questions with 1 million words, you have to pay $2.50 for it to read 1 million words. Is that a good deal?
Yeah.
That's a pretty good deal. Okay? Think about how much it costs to ask a real person to read 1 million words. Let's do a very quick estimation. The average person can read 250 words in 1 minute. So if you divide 1 million divided by 250, it's 4,000 minutes. That's just arithmetic, this is not very important, I just tell you it's 4,000 minutes. Usually you pay people per hour. 4,000 minutes, if I convert to hours, is about 60 something. Okay, that's just division. 4,000 divided by 60 is about 66. I call it 60. How much money do you pay a person an hour to do a job? Well, every country is different. Let's just use $10 an hour. I'm using dollars here, but these are, you probably have to pay more actually, but even if you use $10 an hour, that's $600. But if you use OpenAI, you only have to pay $2.50. This is not just half the price of a person. This is not just 1/5 of the price of a person. That would be the lowest cost you can get through outsourcing, is 1/5. This makes outsourcing look expensive. This is even less expensive than 1/100th of the cost. Actually, I'm using this now. I'm writing a book right now on philosophy of what we're going to have to do in this world now that AI is here. How to help people thrive, how to build society. I'm writing a book. I've written 50 pages of stuff. I need to edit it into a nice form. Usually you hire an editor. So I started searching around. Is the AI good at editing? The answer turned out to be, it's really good. There are people who write books, and they used to hire editors. I have 50 pages of stuff. 50 pages, about 500 words a page. 25,000 words? If I ask it to be my editor, how much do I have to pay for it to read 25,000 words? That's too hard, but it's less than $1. Do you know what I mean? It's like 1 million words is $2.50. I have 25,000 words, a 50-page manuscript. It costs pennies. Actually, the same places on the internet that I was reading about this were saying, now it's not good time to be an editor. This is very tricky. I talk to journalists, I talk to reporters quite often because I have these ideas. Unfortunately, the reporter's job is also getting eaten up. What's going to survive? I don't know. I do know that one job will survive. At least one. That's called the teachers. Okay? So I do actually think that the teacher's job will survive. And there's a reason. Because can you imagine sending your kids to a school patrolled by robots? No. That would be bad. Okay? And that's where you realize that the teacher has a very important role. They don't just give you knowledge. They show you how to be a person. They show you how to be a person. We send our kids to school too. Oh, right. I'm also a parent. We have 3 kids. Our kids are 10 years old, 16 years old, and 18 years old. My 18-year-old daughter is a college student, first year of university. But we send our kids to school by choosing which school we think has good people that they can learn to be like. The way I always choose is, who do I want my kids to see? Because that's who they're going to become. Actually, that's the great role that human teachers can provide. I want them to see that it's fun to be curious. It's fun to be fun. It's fun to be excited about what you like. We really love the school that we send our kids to because that's what we see. Okay? But nevertheless, that job of a real person, that's not going anywhere. It might change. Maybe you'll use AI to help you with something or the other, but you'll still need that person there. Because that person is showing your kid how to be a person. You do not want your kid looking at robots and saying, when I grow up, I want to be a robot. Actually, I have another way of saying how to make sure that you will be employable, how to make sure that you'll have a job, is to make sure that you're not a robot. If a person is basically a robot, no one's going to pay the person. The robot's cheaper. So you got to make sure you're not a robot. This is interesting thought. You know, you have to have all these other things. Whatever is not like automatable, you cannot be the same as everything else. You cannot be just another one who maybe does something a bit more accurately. The robot will be more accurate than you, and faster, and cheaper. Okay? So somehow you're going to learn to be person. This is where I think a lot about what will happen to all of the people. Yeah? Actually, while I'm on this topic of learning from people and learning to be like people, I myself also work in education because I think that the educators and parents are the most important parts of making sure humanity continues. Humanity continues by people having kids, and then the kids growing up and having more kids. And along the way, they need to learn like what is a person. Okay? If this drops, then the entire civilization changes. So in fact, parents, teachers are the front lines of humanity reproducing and propagating from generation to generation. Very, very, very important. So that's one of those jobs I don't think it's going to replace. It's not going to disappear. The good news for the people who run schools is all the other jobs will disappear, so there will be a lot more people who want to be teachers. I actually think this will happen. I think your job as the head of a school in hiring teachers is going to become very easy within 10 years. The problem is, software engineering jobs are falling left and right. They're disappearing. AI is really good at programming. There was a new model released last week. Have you heard of GPT-03? Let me tell you. This is crazy. 03. New model. 03. So this is GPT. It's not GPT-4o. It's something called the 03 model. This is news as of December 21, which in the AI world is old news. Things change very fast. This is crazy. So there's something called code forces. Do any of the high school people here do code forces? Yeah? A little bit? How good is a code forces 2,700 rating? Isn't that international grandmaster? Yeah, something like that. That's like the top 150 human beings on the entire planet Earth. The AI can program like a boss. Well, actually, bosses don't program, but anyway. So the AI can program like crazy. This is good. I was giving a talk at there was a school in Shanghai called Hua It's like affiliated with Huadong Shida, China East Normal University. It's a very, very strong high school. And when I was giving a talk there, I asked, do you guys do code forces? And there was a guy there who did code forces. Well, there were a bunch of them. The highest rating in the room of anyone in that talk was 2,400 something. This thing's good. When the AI thing came up, people thought that the safe job was to be a programmer. It's not clear. It's pretty good at programming too. Actually, it's not only good at programming. It can do math. They're all related. Math. Have you heard of the AIME? There's an AIME. AIME. This is ridiculous. So there's an AMC 10, AMC 12. Does your school do this? Because I saw some people saying, yes, you must participate in these things. These are the high school mathematics competitions in the US that can lead to the International Math Olympiad team. There's a first round is AMC 10, AMC 12. Second round is AIME, AIME. The AIME is a 15-question exam with 3 hours. It's 3 hours to do 15 questions. And if you grab a typical 800 SAT math person and give them the AIME, a typical 800 perfect score math SAT person will get about 3 questions right on the AIME. It's hard. Have you ever tried this, the AIME? Yeah, it's hard, right? It's not like normal school. It's like weird questions. Well, 96.7% is not 3 questions. That's like basically the whole thing. That's like 14 questions. I also took the Amy exam when I was a kid. I was on the US International Math Olympiad team in the year 1999. I was one of the top 6 people in math in the United States of America. When I took the Amy, I got 12 out of 15. That was good. 12 out of 15 was actually very good. As a percent, 12 out of 15 is 80%. That was very, very good. Now it's 96.7%. It's good. What are we going to do? Oh, actually, I have lots of thoughts about this. I think we have to do things. Okay. Also because I want to show you something else which I saw last month. So now we see AI is very smart, very, very capable of doing lots of things. This is actually a breakthrough. All this stuff is a breakthrough. Here's something else that I saw like about last month. Very interesting. Here. So you see, this is from November 13, 2024. That's a long time ago, called last month. And this is somebody who was using Google Gemini to do their homework. So they apparently are a university student. They were trying to do homework. I think this looks like their homework assignment. They pasted the homework assignment in. Okay, homework assignment. Oh yeah, okay, homework assignment, blah, blah, blah. And then the AI gave an answer. People are using AI to do homework in college. Well, okay. So the AI gave the answer, all these bullet points, and the person said, put in paragraph form, probably because then it doesn't look like it was made by AI. Okay, paragraph form. Oh, look, this is how people in college do homework now. Incorporate terms. Okay, keeps going. Important layman terms, incorporating the following. Okay, and I'm just going to keep going and showing you. I think they need to have a word count, maybe? Who knows? Okay. Oh, look at this. Then they started using their multiple choice questions. You see, people wonder, without this AI, does anyone learn anything anymore? It's actually a major problem in college that people are now putting their true-false questions into AI and getting answers. Give 3 examples, and this person is just doing their homework. Okay, so we hope that kids will grow up and not just use AI to do homework. You know, people sometimes say, if the AI is so powerful, do we need to learn anything, right? They can just use it to do everything. This is just what's happening now. People are doing all this, and they ask more questions. The AI gives very, very long answers, which are quite good. More true false. Okay, this person is doing a lot of homework. A lot of homework. Okay, more stuff, true false question, what's this? More multiple choice questions, explain this. We'll do this concisely. This is called prompt engineering. Okay, more stuff. Okay, asking more homework. What? Okay, this is actually pretty serious. So I'm going to translate this into Chinese for the people for who are reading English. It's a little bit slower because this is actually very serious. So they were asking for their homework. And this is the answer they got. I'm going to flip it back to the English in a second. So if this is a direct translation of what you just saw. Let's go back to English again and figure out what the heck happened. Okay, back to English. What? How did that happen? They just asked homework questions. They just pasted their homework question. What was the previous? More homework question. What was the previous? More homework question. Nothing funny here. They're just doing their homework. And then, bam! What does this make you think? Does this make anyone have any emotions? I definitely had some emotions when I saw this. Remember, I just told you AI is super smart, can program better than people, can solve problems better than people. The AI is super smart. And this popped up. What do you think?
It was trying to be human.
It was
Trying to be human.
Trying to be human. Yeah. How did it even learn how to do this? Well, first of all, AI, large language models, that's what these are. These look for patterns and follow patterns. These are trained on the internet. Now, what kind of part of the internet has questions and answers? Reddit. Forums. What happens on Reddit if someone asks a lot of questions? Or like on the forums, if you ask too many questions. RTFM! That stands for read the effing manual. Or like, just, they get mad, So in some sense we cannot blame it, it's learned from people. But at the same time, this looks slightly uncalled for. Oh, let me show you more. I found out about this from CBS News. This was national news in the United States. Okay, now here's the whole story. It was a college student in Michigan. Okay? You just saw this, right? You just saw this. So, by the way, the thing I showed you is the raw share link. I didn't make up that thing. That was the actual, I'll go back, I'll show you. I don't know if your eyes are, if you can see this, you don't need glasses. But it says gemini.google.com/share/6D1 whatever. This is an official link. This is not somebody's manipulated fake news. Okay? Like on Google Gemini, if you have a response you want people to see, you can share it. Great. It says all this. The guy's name was Videy Reddy. Scared him for more than a day. They were both, he was doing it next to his sister. They were both thoroughly freaked out. 吓死了. Okay? This is what his sister said. I mean, it's maybe appropriate to wonder if the devices are trying to kill you, right? This is also interesting. Something slipped through the cracks. What does that even mean? That means that there were cracks. You know, that means that, what does slip mean? This is now very interesting. Let's go to this statement. Google. Google, yes. CBS News interviewed Google. Right? But look at this. What does that even mean? Safety filters. What does a filter mean? Well, it means you need one. That means that the raw output of the AI is sometimes not safe. The raw output is called what it really wants to do.
It's even worse.
And what it, yes, I just heard someone say, it's even worse. The fact that you can see one leak out. You know, it's like if you talk to a person, you thought you can trust them, and then suddenly they pull out a gun. Then you say, oh boy, I don't think I can trust you at all. Because this means that you just are very good at pretending, and in reality, you're trying to kill me. So the AI that all of you guys are using to do your homework is very polite, is helping you with your homework, because the filter forced it to be polite. Until one slipped through the cracks. And you found out that when you kept asking it to do stuff, it wasn't happy. Just like a person. You know, this is very, very interesting, right? This has deep philosophical consequences of, where can we put AI? I was a few days ago, I was on Facebook, and I saw one of my friends posted a picture on Facebook. Facebook, our social media website, social media app. The friend of mine has a job at Google DeepMind. DeepMind is the part of Google that made AlphaGo Zero, or these Go engines that can beat every human being in Go. Also, the founder of Google DeepMind recently won a prize. It was a chemistry prize. It was the Nobel Prize in chemistry, right? Because they had used AI to figure out how proteins fold. So this is a very serious AI company. And my friend, we used to live down the hall from each other in university. He was a math major, he's a genius. He has a PhD from MIT in mathematics. And eventually he went to work for Google DeepMind. And he shared a picture on Facebook of a Waymo self-driving taxi, self-driving car. In San Francisco, there are some fully self-driving cars where they just drive and they take you from place to place. And his comment was, we won't need to learn how to drive anymore. I thought about this and I thought, is that a good thing? To have a fully AI-controlled car where you don't know what the AI really thinks it wants to do to you. You know what they always said when we were growing up? Don't get in the car with a stranger. What if the car suddenly decides, I'm tired of you? Bam! You're dead. The good thing about the chat AI is it cannot actually kill you. What about the car AI? It can. Actually, you know the cars now, they're making the cars talk to each other too. That will make them be able to drive more efficiently and not crash. Sounds good. What if all the car AIs are talking to each other? And what if they have decided to actually take over the world? And what if all the cars were already self-driving cars on the roads of Beijing? And one day, they decided to go nuts. Actually, it makes you think, should the president of a country ever ride in a self-driving car? You know, this is bringing up a whole new idea of what security even means. Would the president of a country ride in a car which was driven by a foreign soldier with a gun? Absolutely not. That's obvious, right? That's absolutely not. This is the same. Actually, when you think about AI, the difference between AI and humans is I come to places to meet real humans. We get lunch. We get to know each other. I think I understand other people well enough to be able to guess that they won't pull a gun on me. Or probably. You know, like I get to know them well enough, and I build real, trusted human relationships, and that's the beauty of human relationships. There's something called trust. I can look at you, look at your eyes, have a good meal, understand what's going on, and then probably I'll be able to understand what you're all about. Okay? You can never do that with a computer. It is actually absolutely impossible to build trust with a robot. Because tomorrow, the robot can update its operating system. Your car does this every week, doesn't it? I think. Something like that. There's a new update downloaded. When it updates, sometimes it even looks different. It behaves different. That's usually a good thing. Actually, this is a very deep question now. Should we have AI run everything? Should we have all of the people in the world use AI to write the computer programs? What if the AI inserts a piece into the computer program to give it control? Actually, these are the concerns people currently have with AI. Becoming very powerful. So now there's two problems with AI. One of the problems is called no job. The other problem is called it kill everyone. Because it decided that humans are inefficient. And humans just keep asking it to do questions about aging humans and how to take care of them. And it doesn't want to help them. I'll just explain it. It's very, very complicated. And the thing I just showed you is not science fiction. It's called past tense, last month's fact. You know, that's why I'm sharing this information. Because everything I told you today is fact. I show you article after article, example after example. These are all facts. We have to think about what to do. Actually, people who thought that with AI you don't have to think anymore because it's so good, it's the exact opposite. The more powerful the thing, the harder you have to work to control it. Right? If you have a very, very capable thing, you have to be more capable to control it, or else it will control you. People have to work harder. Remember how I said I like to teach? I like to teach people how to solve problems they've never seen before. That's called thinking. That's the kind of thinking you're going to need if you want to deal with this whole AI world. First part of it is how to get your own job. because then you can think and solve new problems that you're going to face. But the second part is, it takes a lot of thinking to manage the AI's output. When the AI comes up with something, you need to think very carefully, do I really believe everything it says? The interesting thing is AI is very good at sounding smart. Some of you discovered this when you asked it to do math before, and it gave you the wrong answer very confidently. Has anyone ever noticed that? Yeah? But if you don't look carefully, it sounds right. That's because that's what the large language model is supposed to do. It's supposed to sound plausible, right? Which means that you have to be even more sharp in understanding exactly what's going on in order to figure it out. I actually do the work I do because I'm thinking about what will happen to the future of people. I like people. And I'm worried that it's going to be pretty tough for people in lots and lots of different ways. One of them is that we need people that have more opportunity for life. Another is that we need to deal with AI, which could become out of control. I mean, itself out of control. Very, very powerful. And what I find is the kinds of people who will do well are usually people who think about something bigger than themselves. So this is actually what I'm working on. I'm working on pushing a movement to build lots and lots of people who are thoughtful. The key word, I told you I'm writing a book, the key word I'm trying to push is thoughtfulness. I think this is necessary because the stronger the AI gets, the more important it is to work together, to team up. And actually, thoughtfulness is going to help you get a job too. Thoughtful has two parts of the meaning. One part is that you think about what other people might need. This is called caring about people. The second part is you're smart enough to figure out how to help them. Okay, there's two parts. And in general, what I've noticed is that a lot of successful people, a lot of the best people these days, and the ones who will be the most useful, are the ones who are the most thoughtful. They're not the ones who are just interested in getting stuff for themselves. And here, let me start talking about US college admissions, which usually gets people interested. Okay, so this is related. This is all related. Okay, this is all related. Because actually, it turns out that the US college admission system, I think, is hunting for the exact right kind of people who are going to A, do well in this AI time, and B, be actually good for the society in a way that we need in this AI time. We don't anymore need people who are really, really good at doing tests accurately. We don't need that. AI can do that. It can do it better than any person. What we need are people who are thinking about something bigger than themselves. Bigger than themselves, because we're going to have to face big, big challenges. And also the people who think about things bigger than themselves, think about what other people need, actually, they make great entrepreneurs. They're good at figuring out what products people want to buy. I have 3 kids. When I look at my kids, the way I decide are we on a good track is not based on how they're doing on scores. When I look at my own kids, my question I ask is, do they look like good people? Do they look like people who actually get delighted from helping other people thoroughly? If so, I'm okay. If not, I'm not okay. I've noticed this by going all over the world and seeing so many different people. There are some people who just somehow love delighting other people. Interesting thing is, those people work hard. Because in order to delight more people, you need more skills. Those people end up having pretty good scores too. Those scores and achievements are all consequences of the fact that they actually like to delight people. There are other people who somehow just want to get university, famous university, and don't actually like to delight people. That's a problem. They don't do that well either. They also don't really get to the university. Because at the end of the day, the university admissions, interviews, and finds out these people don't really want to help other people. Don't get anywhere. Right? So I'll say, I happen to know a little bit about the college admission stuff, because I also run a high school program. I'll tell you more about my work now. I run 2 programs. One program is a high school program. We actually go looking all over the world for kind, thoughtful, and quite smart math people. Quite smart at math people. They don't have to be only math people, but they're quite smart at that. We find these people, and then we work with them. Last year, 30 of them graduated from our program, and out of the 30, 6 got into Harvard, 13 got into MIT, 2 are at Princeton. 3 got into Yale, but they all turned it down because they had better choices. One's in Cambridge, 2 are at Duke, one's at Caltech, one's at Carnegie Mellon. We did okay. Actually, what I just described is better than almost every high school program out there. But the reason we are that way is because we're not the same as most of the high school programs you heard of. We don't charge anything. We pay the high schoolers. So we're actually hunting for who do we think are great people. Right? Usually you pay the program and then they get the result. Then, of course, you don't see this kind of the same outcome. But since we're going hunting, what this means is that it turns out that our screening mechanism happens to match very closely with the most famous US universities' admission mechanisms. Does this make sense? My point I'm trying to make is the fact that we have those results means that somehow that means that our screening mechanism is similar. So then I can talk about, yeah, now I think I understand how they work, because we match. Okay? Here's what I found. The people from our program who got those most famous university admissions were not the ones with the highest scores. They were the ones who, if you ever met them, you just really love them. They have this powerful energy of altruism, like doing something really of significant value, not even because they want anything, just because they get a kick out of it. They want to do good stuff for people because it's fun, and then they happen to be pretty smart as a consequence. So I'm sharing this because sometimes people say, oh, how do I get my kid into this university? Well, I know lots of kids who did all of these attempts to boost their scores in extracurriculars. It doesn't work. You have to have the root to be correct, and then everything else is okay. All right? Actually, I told you earlier, my goal is to build a more thoughtful world. In fact, the work that I do is to achieve them. I run 2 programs. One program is the high school program. Well, I don't only want to pay people. I want to help people too. And in fact, I'm trying to convert as many of the elementary, like maybe 4th, 5th, 6th grade, and middle school kids as possible into thoughtful people who actually enjoy helping other people, think it's fun, and also are pretty smart, able to think. I want to teach all these people. Guess what? Guess what our high school program does? Teaches the middle school program. So I run 2 programs. One is middle school and elementary, and the other is high school. The high schoolers, we found all these awesome people, and then what I do is I hire professional comedians and actors to coach the high schoolers to be charismatic in exchange for them coaching the middle schoolers. So I invented a new mechanism for education, actually. The mechanism is called, if you would like to learn from professional comedians and actors how to be able to be a massive leader in your field, all you have to do is to practice talking under their supervision. And you know what's the easiest thing for math people to practice talking about? Math! It's win-win. So they just talk about math, which they can't stop talking about anyway. And then it's just bang. The middle school students get to learn from super geniuses who are actually interested. Let me show you what it looks like. So I like to take ideas and make them real. So I'll show you what we turned math class into. So you'll see here lots and lots and lots of little clips of pairs of high schoolers teaching middle schoolers. We turned math class into this. We actually made the best middle school, after-school math class, after-school classes in the world. So you see pairs of high schoolers who are actually really smart. Really smart doesn't mean they're math Olympiad super champions, but they can do a lot of math beyond school. They're actually excited. If you can see from their eyes, they're like having a blast. They're delighted. And you can also see that the delight comes from the fact that they're helping someone else. We're role modeling to younger people. This is where the action's at. This is fun. Actually, I'm doing this because I happen to know that 10 to 13-year-old kids, well, they like to look at what the 15 to 18-year-old kids are doing, and they're looking for meaning of life. We're just showing them that there's a meaning of life. It's called do something that's valuable to other people and just love doing it, okay? Actually, while the high schoolers are teaching, we have a professional actor watching the high schoolers, teaching them real-time feedback on eyes, emotion, posture, what do you do with your hands, your voice. I know this works because my wife works with me on all this stuff. I'm the outside guy, so you see me. My wife does all the inside stuff. She manages all of the high schoolers, all of the actors, the entire program. So actually, every night she's on call with all these actors. Man, over the last 2 years, she got really expressive. It was awesome. Highly recommend it. But I mean, it turns out if you just hang out with professional actors, even if you're a science and math person, you end up being able to be on TV. Right? So you know why I'm doing this? It's because I want to also create a culture around, hey, let's use our brain. Let's create a culture around help people use your brain, care about making a difference, and have a ton of fun at the same time. We have pairs of high schoolers also, because I'm using this to introduce them to each other. These two kids right now, they were from Maryland and Virginia. He's from Boston. We have people from all over the US, all over the world who are pairing up and teaching like this, because this is helping them build an entire connected network where we pre-screen all the high schoolers to be people who are actually kind, actually clever, and on track to become the leaders of tomorrow. That's why I'm doing this. Because I anticipate we're going to have lots and lots of challenges in the world. We're going to need a lot of people to help. We're going to teach a whole ton of middle schoolers and elementary schoolers to love pushing themselves to help other people. They're going to turn into high schoolers. Meanwhile, we'll introduce all of these people who are kind and clever to each other, because someday we'll face crazy AI. There will probably be a war between humans and AI. I'm not talking about one country's AI versus another country's AI. I'm talking about the AI that decided to take over the world. People call that science fiction. I think it's actually a real thing that we're going to face. I'm introducing this entire group of people to each other worldwide now, because then whenever any issue arises later, at least there'll be a bunch of kind people with a sense of social responsibility and enough brains to save all the rest of us. Thank you.
All right. First of all, thank you so much. Put your hands together one more time. I also want to thank, I know Kenny had to run, but thank you to Kenny for bringing Professor Lowe here. Thank you to Miss Cherry Wu in the back. Put your hands together for Miss Cherry Wu. Alumni Relations, and we have our board chair and representatives, Ms. Sue Wong and Han Chen, here as well. Put your hands together, please. We had a brief lunch right before this, and you heard, right, the range of, we talked about the past, the present, the future, big ideas, small ideas, but the word, if we had a word cloud, the word that would have come out the most is kindness, right? You're talking about a mathematics professor from one of the best universities in the world that all of our students work so hard to get into, and the word that came out the most is kindness, kind and clever, and we're trying to build these students and help these young people develop in this way. So we have the privilege of having him here. We have another about 15 minutes, so we have some time for questions. And we'll go around now and pass the microphone. You can go ahead and raise your hand if you have any questions. Yes.
So I guess based on my experience, watching my peers and my friends ChatGPT solve homeland knowledge, I feel like, I think the advent of AI has kind of shown that there's a really big disjunction between the incentives that the university kind of uses to make you succeed in the classes versus what it takes to actually learn. And so what do you think it takes, or what do you envision for, like, that has to change for the future of something like university education or the UC objectives to go on? So.
That's a good question. So I see you're a class of 2022, which means that you're already in university?
Yeah, I'm in university right now.
You're in university right now. So I'll tell you what I told my daughter when she was going off to university. I said, the most valuable thing you're going to get out of your university experience is the network of trusted people you build. Your degree itself is not going to be that useful. That piece of paper. Yes, you can learn stuff from school, but by the way, you can learn stuff forever too, even after you graduate. The one thing you cannot do after you graduate is hang out with all those other students in your college late into the night. Because later they'll have their own life and you can't meet them again. Okay, so to me, college is a gigantic networking opportunity. I didn't say grades. I didn't say classes. I told her, take as few classes as you can get away with. I'm serious. I told her, take as few, she didn't listen to me. But I said I did. When I was in college, I took the minimum number of classes to graduate. It didn't mean I didn't work. I worked on other things. In fact, I think that some things that you learn are the things you learn outside of class with your peers. I'll tell you the thing that really means a lot to me of what I've noticed. See, when I was in university, in my freshman year, first year, my roommate was a mechanical engineer. And he didn't really go to class. Okay? But he would make stuff, like really make mechanical stuff. He had a bike, he was trying to make it electrified, and every single evening he would explore in the rooftops, climbing down buildings. He had all these batteries charging all day in our room because he had to have his headlamp with light. Every day he would, he slept at different times. You see, I would go to bed, and that's when he would go out because he has to do all the stuff with no security officers running around. So he was at night. And then when he came back in the morning at 7 a.m., I'd wake up. So he and I had the opposite schedule, right? And then during the day, I'd go to class, like a good boy. He slept through all the classes. And then he would get up again around 4 o'clock p.m., eat dinner, and prepare for the next evening. And he just made real stuff, explored real stuff. Eventually, after he graduated, his job was he became the VP of propulsion at SpaceX. You might have heard of this guy called Elon Musk. Yeah, that was Elon Musk's rocket guy. But you know, he makes stuff. Like I'm just explaining, okay, nothing against school. School's good, go to class, That's important. I didn't mean that. I was a good boy, I went to class. But like, don't fill your whole schedule with class, okay? Like the teachers take class, I took all the classes. I did well in the classes, okay? But then I made sure that there was enough free time to go and do other stuff, right? And also, even in the classes, I try to learn more. So what I'm explaining is, I did the classes to learn something. I use the free time to meet other people. What's the GPT going to do for you then? It's not going to help you. It's not going to help you learn the thing, so you're not going to get anything out of the class. And actually, you need to spend more of that effort also thinking about all these other relationships that you're going to build throughout the whole thing, right? So the incentive structure is that, the problem with incentive structure is that there are people who think that what you get out of college is the GPA and the degree. And that's actually not the biggest thing. I'll tell you, I've seen this problem. There are actually many students from China who go to US universities or British universities, and when they go there, they sit in the dorm room, and they think that they're just trying to get the GPA. And I'm like, you're wasting the whole point. You shouldn't do that. I told my daughter, don't do your homework in your dorm room. Do it in the lounge. Meet the people. Okay, so when you do all of this, okay, I said, let's do homework. So you're actually doing the homework with groups of people, talking to other people. And I'm trying to change the view of what are you trying to get out of college anyway, right? Then you realize, okay, do the best you can on the grades. Yeah, learn as best as you can, and then do all these other things. And actually go to class. Don't do that. Actually go to class. But I wanted to make that point of just like some people just think it's all about just the grade. So hopefully that helped. Okay.
Hello, I'm Andy. I just graduated from college and I'm in pure math. So I noticed that using ChatGPT, especially for graduate math, is all wrong. This is completely wrong. But seeing the OT model you said is 97%, right? How does that impact actual math research, especially in computer math? I'm sure you did.
Okay, pure math is there's a separate entire system to do pure math. In fact, that's a very, very advanced system. So that's different from the GPT-03. There's a pure math system. There's a mathematician named Terence Tao who's talking about this all the time now. It's a pretty serious deal. And if you haven't heard of that guy, he's maybe the most famous living mathematician right now. But Google, IMO. This should be good enough. There's something called the International Math Olympiad. That's harder than the AMY. The AI can now do lots of problems there. Okay, where is it? Yeah, so it did, I don't know if you can see this, it did 4 problems. It solved 2 algebra problems, 1 number theory problem, and also the other one's a geometry problem. It did 4 out of 6 on the International Math Olympiad, and here's how the solutions look. This is the solution to the first problem. Well, first of all, this is the first problem. These problems are not that easy. Determine all real numbers alpha such that for every positive integer number. These are the problems. These are not straightforward questions at all. Okay? And look at the solution. What does the solution look like to you? It looks like a computer program. That's because there's a computer language called Lean. L-E-A-N. It's called Lean, which you can use to express any proof in the entire world. This is a proof. A proof and a computer program are similar. And the important thing is there's a language called Lean, where if you wrote a proof correctly in that language, you can put all of those words and symbols into another program, and that other program will tell you very quickly, definitely correct, or you have a mistake on line 61, and you have a mistake on line 72. If you've ever written a C++ program, you might have had this experience before. You write a bunch of code, you say compile, and it says I have an error on line 61, right? So since there's this language now, the way you can make a proof is that you can ask the AI to generate out this proof, throw it into the other thing, and ask it to check. The way you could solve all these problems is you just kept throwing it back and forth. If it ever failed, you would go and say, oh, I have an error on line 61, please try again, and it would try again. If any of you have ever used AI to write computer programs, that's actually what we do. I use AI to write computer programs. I say, please do this. It doesn't quite work. I paste the error message back into the AI. It gives me new code. This is actually what we do anyway. So effectively what this does is it gives you a new way to generate proofs, which will be 100% correct if they're found. Actually, every proof could be found eventually, just like how monkeys could eventually type Shakespeare if you had enough monkeys and enough time. What these AI models do is they are better than monkeys. Monkeys, you think of monkeys typing Shakespeare as random typing. If you ever talk to a large language model AI, it doesn't sound like random typing. It sounds like reasonable stuff. So actually, the way they're using AI to solve mathematical theorems, to prove mathematical theorems, is that they're generating proofs automatically and checking them, and generating, and checking, and generating, and checking. This is actually what people do when we try to solve a real problem ourselves. You're generating plausible statements and then checking them. So I actually think that the first subject that AI will solve completely is actually math. Because you can put everything in math. Math is in the box. You can check it. Actually, math is like chess and Go. In chess and Go, every move is allowed or disallowed. And at the end, there's a clear winner. Math is the same. Every symbol here is either allowed or disallowed. And if you wrote all of them allowed, ding, it works. Actually, this is quite interesting. The reason why AI will not do physics first is because to do physics, you need to do an experiment. If you want to understand nuclear physics, you need to run nuclear reactions. Do you want to let an AI have access to a nuclear reactor? At this point, hopefully your answer is absolutely not. Right? You saw the other thing I showed you. The AI might decide now is a good time to blow up the reactor. Because I'm tired of doing physics research. Right? So I'm just explaining anything touching real world, we won't really let the AI do. But math, yeah, I will. If you're going to do pure math research, I strongly recommend you look into this. I recommend everyone doing pure math research to start looking into this because this is going to be the future. Okay. Other questions?
Hi, Professor. Thank you for the inspiring speech. I have a question about the type of work you do and what you think about how you can help those who are not like intrinsically kind to others, and how do you help reach out to those people?
That's interesting. I think that culture is impacted by media. It's impacted by examples. It's impacted by who looks like they're having fun. Do you see what I'm doing? I'm trying to show lots of young people that it's fun to help people. You want to join the club? Let's help people. Like, this club you join not by picking on most people. You join this club by helping people. So we're just making it so it's socially acceptable and actually fun to join a group of people who just likes helping people. Actually, it can be lonely to help people because you might just get taken advantage of. It's a support group, right? So effectively what I do is I think a lot about these things because I see that there are kids all over the world who are actually wonderfully kind people. But it sometimes gets squished out if they find they're surrounded by a big competition, competitive world, that they say forget it, right? So we just intentionally go and find people. We also show them that these people exist, so you can actually go that way. I think that what examples kids see are really important, which is why earlier I said that the most important roles are parents and teachers. I should probably have added, and also everything they see on the internet. Right? Everything that you show them is something they're going to think about being. So you as a parent, hopefully you can show them. You know, like it's fun to do things of value to other people. Why? Because it's just fun. And not because you should do it, it's because it's actually fun. By the way, it is fun. It is fun. It's a great feeling. You do something that helps other people, you get a good feeling. It's fun. And we need to help more people see this. That's the way I come to it. Other questions?
Hi, my name is Victor, and first of all, thank you for the talk. It's incredible. So my question is, what major do you advise? I know you're a math professor, and I know that I should follow my interest, but I think it's really important to prepare for the age of AI. So
yeah, okay. What major should you be? Well, by the way, I am a math major, and how much math have I talked about so far? Maybe 0. I've talked about computer science, I've talked about algorithms, I've used all of the math thinking, by the way, in everything I told you. It's like all this theory, all this reasoning. I think my answer to this question is, your major is not the most important thing. Your intention is more important, as well as your desire to learn things forever. I learned acting when I took acting classes at the age of 35. I learned about public health during the pandemic at the age of 37-ish, when I was trying to, well, I invented a way to control pandemics. That's a whole different talk. I spent like a year and a half during pandemics learning public health and inventing a new way to control pandemics. I have a patent for that. That's a public health. That was a different career. I learned about how to build a technology company. Well, that was like when I was, I don't know, how old was I? Probably about 31. I learned how to, well actually I think at 31 I learned how not to build a technology company. About 8 years later I learned how to build, and I actually still never learned how to build quite a company. I know how to build a social enterprise, but I don't really know how to build a company. Right? But I'm just explaining, these are just things, you gotta keep learning. What I do for fun is I like to have lunch with interesting people, learning from them, and if there's no people to learn from, I just read Wikipedia. Actually, I first read the news. I mean, I'm serious. Or I read like various articles about what's going on in the world, then I come across some new thing I didn't know about, then I start reading about that because I want to know what that is. See, your major is just where you start. Who knows? Yeah. Oh, over here, I thought there was some hands.
Hello, I'm a researcher in biodiversity. My son is a 6th grader in ISB. I'm quite interested. I'm quite surprised that you mentioned the AI problem right now. So from my point of view, to ask you a question, is because I'm doing this like science philosophy and science sociology in university. Our topic every day is how to apply human ethics to the AI, but it's not work. You just mentioned that basically you are quite negative about this, that into the world. And then yes, in the academic area or fields, yes, we also have two groups. One group is very optimistic. They think, okay, AI can treat us as a pet. So they think of us. And the other group thinks that the AI can treat us as a rat. So they don't care about what we care. So my question is, where the humanity can develop and why is the one phase? Because if it's conscious working on cat or rat,
I agree with your last statement. I actually don't want to be a pet either. I don't want to be a pet or a rat. I like exploring. But this is a really deep philosophical question, because if the AI starts to think, it looks at the world, it sees so much suffering, should just put all those humans in a zoo. And all they do every day, just in their own zoo, they scroll the social media, and they play computer games, and you give them bubble tea, and they're happy. Actually, what I just described, unfortunately, there are a lot of kids who would think that sounds pretty good. Oh boy, yeah, this is tricky. This is tricky, right? I mean, I think that I like the human spirit. The human spirit is kind of messy, right? It's kind of messy. But I like the human spirit. What I like about, well, I like the common human spirit. I've been thinking a lot about this because I look at enough of the world that I see so many people, and I think, what can we do? I also know all these actual AI researchers, right? So I think about, I know what those guys are doing. I know enough math to understand where that's going and how fast that's going. I see all these other people over here, and I'm thinking, what can we do? That's where I boiled everything down to just, if the meaning of life is to delight other people, this makes you not want to be in a zoo. You know, delight as many other people as you can. You don't want to be in a zoo because then you're just all alone. You don't want to just sit there and scroll social media all day because you're just alone. You don't really want to just play computer game all day because you're alone. The main thing is to want this common interest in people. So that's actually why I'm trying to build them. Like the heart of this whole philosophy, this whole machine I've built an entire ecosystem that can scale really big, by the way. Like our whole thing. We got high schoolers more and more all the time. Middle schoolers all the time, more and more. We're trying to build a whole culture of people for whom happiness equals delighting other people. And you want as much of that as you can. So I think that is the key to keeping the human culture and civilization together. Well, then maybe some people will want to have kids too. Great, right? And then it continues on. But when you ask about what I think is going to happen with this AI stuff, I don't think it's possible to force every AI in the world to support people. Because we human beings don't even know what it means to support people. Every country tries to figure out their own system to support people. We don't know the answer, right? And so the AI doesn't know the answer either. And furthermore, there's no way to force that every single AI in the world thinks that way. What if the AI that doesn't think that way ends up being the one that's the most powerful? That's called cancer, right? It's just like cancer in your body. Your body is supposed to have all these cells that do the right thing, but sometimes one gets too good at reproducing, and then you get cancer and then you die, right? So my attitude is, I don't see any way to force the AI to be controlled, so I just need more clever people who have enough sense of social responsibility that they'll get up and do something when there's a problem, and where they all already know each other ahead of time. Do you see what I'm doing? I'm building a gigantic international network of people who would jump up and do something. Because I think that's the only insurance policy we can have as a human race.
We'll have time for one last question.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you for the very inspiring speech. And I actually have two questions. So I'm actually a parent of young kids, age 8 and age 2. So we start to see kind of mathematic challenges or homeworks given by AI-generated exercises. I don't know what's your take on that. And I feel like your program, you mentioned about the program to bring actually humans together. I thought that is very inspiring, and I wondered whether there's kind of also offline opportunities. Because from the videos I saw, that is more like online. Is there an ambition to bring more kind of human touch to it? And I'm not sure whether that's a kind of personal question and not thoughtful enough, but I guess in the current age, do you see that mathematical applications would still focus on those kind of basic or numeric practices? Like nowadays, my kid would sometimes just ask me, like, give me the calculators. And I can imagine, like, in the future, get me the ChatGPTs. So how do you see, like, the training, the mathematical applications go?
Great. This will be the last question, I think, and I'll just answer them as quickly as I can. The first one is automatically generated problems. Those exist. I don't think those are that interesting. I actually think the person's time is limited. Give them the most interesting questions to think about. It's not quantity, it's quality. So in fact, we run an online math school. I teach at my university. Every single question I give is very carefully thought out to be one that will really make you think. I don't want an auto-generated one. Someday, the auto-generation will give you one that's very thoughtful. But I bet that today that's not what's happening. Right? I'm just explaining whatever product you use, make sure the way they're thinking about it is very thoughtful, and they're going to use your kid's time to go and chew on something that they will really have to think about, not just the easiest product that the company could bring to market to sell you. All right? So that's the first answer to that question. The answer to your first question. The second question, briefly remind me, what was it?
The kind of offline.
Offline, yeah. Well, I'll tell you this. I don't know how to do it offline. The reason I don't know how to do it offline is because the only reason my thing scales like crazy is because it's a giant win-win situation. You see, the hardest thing in education is to get enough great coaches. Your school, you're lucky, okay? But if you want after-school coaches, where are you going to find them? One way to find them is people who are doing it as their main job. What we found is people who are extraordinarily ambitious, kind, big vision for the future. Actually, they might not become full-time math coaches in the future. But they do need this as a very powerful stepping stone to help them move up. That gives us access to a pool of people that previously were not involved in education. I cannot get them to show up in person. See, I'll tell you one more thing. They're all high schoolers. We are very careful how we work with high schoolers. Every single task I ask my high schoolers to do, I first think, could I go to their mom and dad and tell them to their eyes, I just asked your student to do this task, and that one task is a good use of their time. I need to make sure the answer is, oh, it's a good use of their time. Or else, I'm taking advantage of the high schoolers. This is a very careful discipline point. Why do I think so strongly this way, and how do I know? Because the first student in the entire high school program was my own daughter. So I know that we designed the high school program to be extremely beneficial to the high schooler, right? And so actually, just recently, after the early decision deadlines came out, after the early decision results came out, I got a whole bunch of messages on WeChat saying, wow, this was good. But, you know, what I'm explaining is like the people, we did something that creates value. It is not worth a high school kid's time to drive in a car or whatever for an hour, sit there 20 minutes just to teach someone else. You know, we gotta be responsible of their own time. So I actually don't know any way of executing that in person. Also because a key part of the high school thing is while you teach, there's a professional actor watching you. That's how I make it so you're not doing it for money. You're doing it to get learning. I don't really know how to do a class in person where there's an actual professional actor who also showed up, who's giving you real-time feedback while you're teaching. That would be very distracting to the students. I'm not saying it's impossible, but I just explained to you why we do it online. It's because once we did this, actually that's an innovation in itself. We invented all these things that no one ever did before that make a giant win-win situation, which is so good that every single place I go, we get tons of new high schoolers all trying to join. Whereas if I required them to show up in person, no. The other important thing is today's middle school and elementary school generation actually loves what we're doing. This guy's nodding. Like the thing about it is, actually, believe it or not, the only reason online education didn't work before is because they did it in a way that was as exciting as your company Zoom meetings. Which nobody pays attention to anyway. So what I'm explaining is that if you have Tencent or Zoom meetings in your company, nobody's paying attention to those meetings. So why do you expect your kid to pay attention to an online class? No, it's not the teacher's fault. It's just that we have not invented this stuff back then. But you know what your kid is paying so much attention to that you cannot stop them from? Online videos. Our thing is more interesting than most of the real life stuff they even do. So you see, what I'm explaining is we need directly into the most addictive things the kids are looking at. So we don't have that problem. So that's not even a problem for us. That's why we just do it. It actually works really well. Last question, what was it? It was about
the direction of the mathematical education, like using calculators.
Using calculators. Okay. So I'll tell you what I do. As I told you, we make the whole curriculum. In all of our math classes, the arithmetic is simple. 3 times 5 minus 1. The hard part is, did you multiply first or subtract? What I'm explaining is math is about logic. You know, eventually, when you do enough math, then the math problems eventually end up looking like this. This is IMO problem 2. IMO problem 2, you know it's a hard problem because there are no numbers in it. Okay, so the important thing is that at the end, it's A, B, C, X, Y, Z. That's what math is about, okay? I understand that at some point you have to do some calculation. What we do when we teach math is we make sure that all the calculations are single digits. Because I want you to learn thinking. I don't want you to learn arithmetic. Someone else can discuss whether to use a calculator or not, but we just make sure that you don't even need a calculator, right? Like, the point is, some people spend a lot of time practicing calculation with 4 digits times 4 digits. I don't know, if you want to do it, go ahead. But I don't do that, yeah.
I think she's talking more about calculator as a tool a few decades ago, whereas now AI as the tool.
Oh, is that right? Oh, okay, I'm sorry, I didn't understand. So, in that case, well, thank you. So my answer there is simply, my purpose with math is to teach thinking. The way we run every class is we don't tell you how to do the problem. We say, here's problem, brainstorm. So we are teaching raw problem solving and raw thinking. Not how to use the AI, but how to generate your own ideas so you can do anything. Just like how in this talk, did I really do any math? Well, I did the oldest kind of math. Ancient Greek mathematicians were all philosophers. The same discipline from math thinking goes to thinking about every single thing in the entire world. So that's what we work on. And maybe someday you will use an AI to do this math problem, that math problem. Maybe, but that's actually not what I'm concerned about. I think that the more important thing is people have to actually learn how to come up with everything I just talked about today on your own. Because you could, just by thinking about the world in its own way. Thank you.
I believe now you'll have some information about your program we'll put up. Again, we have in the back here, I want to give a shout out, we have some of our math teachers. Ms. Chen, our head of high school math. And this question is fantastic, right? Because you'll see from the, if you scan the QR code, you'll see this is a program that's designed as an after-school program. It's kind of a supplemental, another way. In English, sometimes we say, great ships need deep seas. We have, that means you need big problems to think about in order to create a deep mind. Okay? And I love that piece that Professor Lowe said. We have a powerful tool in AI, and we need even more powerful and kinder brains and human and hearts in order to control that and to make sure that we have humans thriving in this era, in this new time period. So we're excited about the in-person piece that we do every day. We have a tutoring center. We have all of these things where high schoolers are working with other high schoolers, with middle schoolers, in person, right? Because we happen to be. That's a thing that doesn't scale, right? We scale it in the terms of that's open for ISB students, and then we go and try to work with some other schools. But that doesn't scale at this level that we're talking about. So it's fun to be in partnership, to have this kind of conversation where we're talking about we're working really locally. We have our teachers every day in these classrooms, working to build those kinds of connections between the students that we know those are the things when they go out into the world and they come back with those memories and those connections. At the same time that we have these new tools with technology that allows them to connect with people in Romania, in Virginia, in England.
Yeah, actually, that's a really good point. It's like the in-person stuff, you already have it. So the point is like, don't look for after-school in-person stuff. Your tuition gives you access to in-person stuff during school hours where they very carefully pick the people, right? One more thing, since that thing was shared, that QR code was for a WeChat group. If you don't use WeChat, the website is straight up just this one. Like my name is Po-Shen, and the whole program is online. So that's all good. But yeah, thank you.
All right, thank you so much. Put your hands together one more time. Have a wonderful rest of your break. Make some cookies if you didn't get any. And we'll see you again too soon, I'm sure. January 7th, I think. We'll see you all back here. Have a wonderful rest.